video, we'll be discussing DNB pattern OSCE questions of radiology. So we'll discuss 10 questions in this. I will be showing you the OSCE questions, and as and when we will discuss the answers before moving on to the next question. My name is Dr. Aishwarya. So this is the first question. There is young male with chronic backache and stiffness in the back. So this is AP and lateral thoracolumbar spine x-rays. I will give you a minute to identify what are the findings in this x-ray and come to a conclusion. So first question is, what are the abnormalities in these images? So that's for 1 mark. Second question, what is the most likely diagnosis? For 1 mark. Name any 2 classical features of this disease, and what are the typical age group and gender association for this disease? So after seeing the spine and the findings, you will be having a diagnosis in mind. So let's discuss one by one. So the first question is, identify the abnormalities. So we can see there is calcified anterior longitudinal ligament, few bridging ossifieds, and calcified posterior longitudinal ligaments, and bilateral sacroiliac joints appear fused. Second question is, what is the most likely diagnosis? So most likely diagnosis in this case will be ankylosing spondylosis. Third, name any 2 classical features of this disease. So this disease, ankylosing spondylitis, and its musculoskeletal features have multiple named signs. So first is the bamboo spine, in which there will be bridging osteophytes. Dagger spine, in which there is ossification of interspinous ligaments giving a dagger-like appearance on AP view. Next, there is carrot stick fracture, that is fracture of the bamboo spine, in which any fracture passes through all 3 segments of the spine. Entire spine can get fractured in a hole. Next is vertebral body squaring can appear. Fourth is the typical age group and gender association. So there is male predominance. So male is to female ratio is 3:1, and it affects mostly the young adults. Next question we have is the X-ray and ultrasound image of the femur. The site is not mentioned. So what is the abnormality? What is the most likely diagnosis? Name 2 classical features of this lesion, and what are the common sites of metastasis of this lesion? I will give you a minute. So the findings are also being pointed out here. So abnormality here, what we can see is the sunburst pattern of periosteal reaction in the distal end of femur, which is in the diaphyseal and metaphyseal region almost. And what is the most likely diagnosis? So diagnosis is osteosarcoma. Name 2 classical features of this lesion. So in osteosarcoma, the classical features are sunburst periosteal reaction, ivory type matrix calcification, and Codman's triangle, which is again a type of periosteal reaction. What are the common sites of metastasis of this lesion? Osteosarcoma is known to have bone-to-bone mets, and other common site will be lungs. This is the third OSCE. So here you can see a image of a contrast bottle, which we use on day-to-day basis. So first question is, what is the osmolality of this contrast? What is the normal osmolality of blood? What is the criteria for post-contrast acute kidney injury? That is the criteria for diagnosing post-contrast acute kidney injury. What is the preventive method for contrast-induced nephropathy in diabetic patient? So the contrast what we see here is the iohexol. First question is, what is the osmolality of this contrast? It's a non-ionic low osmolar contrast and its osmolality ranges from 322 to 844 milliosmoles per kg depending on the contrast which we use. What is the normal osmolality of blood? So in us humans, the normal osmolality of blood is 280 to 290 milliosmoles per kg. Criteria for post-contrast acute kidney injury is elevation in absolute serum creatinine by 0.3 milligram per deciliter above baseline, elevation of relative serum creatinine by 50% above the baseline, reduced urine output that is less than 0.5 ml per kg per hour for at least 6 hours. This is the cutoff or the criteria for labeling it as post-contrast acute kidney injury. What is the preventive method for contrast-induced nephropathy in diabetic patients? So, the only preventive method in diabetic patients is to avoid metformin. Specifically, when they have asked for diabetic patient, you cannot generalize the preventive methodology. Avoiding metformin is the specific technique or specific answer. This is the fourth OSCE. So this patient with history of cough with expectoration and chest pain comes to the hospital and this is his X-ray. I will give you a minute to go through the X-ray. Please go through all the parts of the X-ray, the mediastinal portions, the lung portions, the surrounding soft tissues and abdomen, whatever is covered. First question is identify the abnormality. Second is name the possible diagnosis. What is the next imaging investigation of choice? What is the preferred management of choice? So to answer the first question, you can see an opaque lesion in right mid-zone of the lung fields and multiple lytic lesions are seen in the visualized bones. So both of these findings have to be mentioned since it's a 2-marker and you cannot miss the bone findings here. What is the most possible diagnosis is, in this case, it could be primary lung carcinoma with bony metastasis. What is the next imaging investigation of choice? So next investigation of after X-ray will be a CT thorax. Particularly in this case where lesions are present, we go ahead with CECT thorax. Of course, after the CECT, because mets are there, we have to look at the other parts of the body which have mets. So we can go ahead with PET-CT post CECT. Preferred management of choice in this case, which has already metastasized, will be chemoradiotherapy than the excision of primary lesion. Coming to the fifth question. This patient comes with history of pain abdomen and constipation since 2 days. So there's an acute history and this case should not take long time. It's a spotter. So this is abdominal X-ray. First is to identify the abnormality. Next, name any 2 radiological features. What is the next imaging investigation of choice? Name any 2 potential complications. So to identify the abnormality, here we have the sigmoid volvulus. That is the abnormality. And 2 radiological features are, one is there is dilated large bowel. Second is the apex of the dilated large bowel is towards the left iliac fossa. And you have to recognize that there is absent rectal bowel gas shadows that shows the obstruction might be in the sigmoid colon. Next investigation of choice is CT abdomen and 2 potential complications would be obstruction, perforation and also bowel ischemia is one of the complications. Coming to the 6th OSCE, this patient has a history of head injury. So identify the abnormalities. So there's a bony window given and a brain window given, and patient has a history of trauma. You can go through the images, observe what are the abnormalities. Coming to the images, brain window shows an obvious extradural hematoma, and in bone window, if you can see observe carefully, overlying the extradural hematoma, there is a thin fracture line which you can see in the left parietal lobe. So identify the abnormalities. You have to tell both extradural hemorrhage and left parietal bone fracture. And since this is a case of ADH, the most common cause of ADH hemorrhage is the middle meningeal artery. In our case, it could be branches of left middle meningeal artery. Any two ominous or critical signs to be looked for in such cases. Of course, when EDH is there, we have to look for the mass effect, and mass effect in turn leading to any intracranial herniation syndromes like transtentorial or uncal herniations. Those are the ominous signs. Next ominous sign would be the swirl sign. Never forget. So swirl sign, nothing but it's a rebleed within the extradural hematoma. So there will be hypo and hyper areas within the EDH cavity. So that is an ominous sign. It has to be managed surgically. What is the preferred management of choice? If EDH is small, it can be conservatively managed. But if thickness of the EDH is more than 3 cm, or if it is causing a mass effect, significant mass effect, then burr hole craniotomy and drainage has to be done. This is our 7th OSCE. So this is a patient with history of hypertension, and this is his CT scan of axial sections of brain. You can observe what is the abnormality here, followed by there are questions. So identify the location of the lesion. What is the expected attenuation of the lesion in Hounsfield units? Mention 2 complications to be identified on CT. What is the preferred management of choice? So as patient has a history of hypertension, he is prone for the basal ganglia and thalamic bleed, which is a spontaneous intracranial bleed. So in our patient here, the patient has left thalamo-capsular bleed. It's not involving basal ganglia, so please don't mention gangliothalamic or gangliocapsular region. It's thalamo-capsular bleed with extension into left lateral ventricle. That's also clearly seen. You can see blood in the occipital lobe and also blood CSF level in the frontal horn of left lateral ventricle. Expected attenuation in HU would be bleed attenuation, that is 50 to 80 HU. 2 complications of this to be identified on CT. One complication is already present here, that is the intraventricular extension, which can further cause hydrocephalus. One is the mass effect and intracranial herniations. What is the preferred management of choice? So in this cases, the cerebral edema has to be managed, and usually it's managed conservatively. So mannitol has to be given to the patient. This is our 8th OSCE with no history. It just has an image of an investigation. So you have to identify which study is this. Followed by the other questions. So once you have identified the study, what are the indications for the study, contraindications of the study, and what are the possible complications of this study? So most of you would have identified it's a hysterosalpingography or HSG as we call it. What are the indications of HSG? One is the infertility. Second is the recurrent miscarriages and suspected tubal block. What are the contraindications of the study? So current active infection or discharge per vagina is a contraindication. Bleeding per vagina is a contraindication, and pregnancy is a contraindication for performing HSG. What are the complications of the study? So the possible complications are uterine perforation, the cramps, and bleeding can happen. So bleeding per vagina is one of the complications. Coming to last but one, OSCE. 3 images are given. One is the gross image of the patient's feet. One is the fetal ultrasound of the baby's face. Next is the fetal ultrasound abdominal axial sections. Go through all these 3 images. They are all linked together. First question is identify the abnormality in these images. Next is what is the diagnosis. Third is what is the common cardiac condition associated with this condition. Fourth is what is the genetic abnormality. Coming to the first question, in all these images, we'll go one by one. The first image shows saddle gap toes. Second image shows non-ossified nasal bone. And the third image shows duodenal atresia represented by the double bubble sign. So it's clear-cut, straightforward diagnosis. So diagnosis is Down syndrome. Most common cardiac condition associated with this condition would be endocardial cushion defect or AVSD. That's also called as atrioventricular septal defect. Second more common will be the VSD. So the genetic abnormality here is it's a condition where there is duplication, where there's an extra 21st chromosome. So it's a trisomy 21. This is our last OSCE. So there's a patient with a history of odynophagia and this investigation is performed. Go through the image, identify the investigation, identify the finding or a pathology which is seen in this image. So first question is, what is the diagnosis? What is the investigation? Second is, what is the diagnosis? Third is, what is the name of this classical sign shown in this image? What is the investigation of choice for the definitive diagnosis of this condition, what you see here? What are the other causes of odynophagia? So what is this investigation? It's barium swallow. So barium swallow is used to identify the esophageal pathologies, and contrast is passing through esophagus and it should pass through the cardia of the stomach, which will represent that gastroesophageal junction function is patent. Next, the diagnosis in this image, in our condition here, is diffuse esophageal spasm. So what is the classical sign representing it? That is the corkscrew appearance of the esophagus. And here you can see the corkscrew appearance. For definitive diagnosis of the diffuse esophageal spasm, we have to go ahead with esophageal manometry. And what are the other causes of odynophagia? There could be any esophageal stricture because of previous conditions, previous surgeries, esophageal carcinoma, achalasia cardia. All these are the causes of odynophagia. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe to our channel for more such videos. For exam preparation videos, I'll be taking, my videos are all on the topics of which are exam based, which are most frequently asked in theory or the practicals, so which will help you revise. So keep watching our videos, subscribe, and please share the videos with your friends. Thank you.